Hey partner, I'm Barry, your pocket crew chief, the very first AI-powered mechanic for sim racing. Got a car that's a little loose or tight? Just tell me how it's handling, and I'll whip up instant setup recommendations just for you. Want me to get even more precise? Snap a picture of your setup, and I'll fine-tune it to perfection. And hey, I'm not just about giving orders. I'll explain why every adjustment matters, so you can really understand your ride. I'll even teach you the science behind the setup. Ever wonder why the track bar is so important? I've got the answer. With Pocket Crew Chief, I'll make you smarter, faster, and race ready. So what are we waiting for? Let's build to win. Hey partner, I'm Barry, your pocket crew chief, the very first AI-powered mechanic for sim racing. Got a car that's a little loose or tight? Just tell me how it's handling, and I'll whip up instant setup recommendations just for you. Want me to get even more precise? Snap a picture of your setup, and I'll fine-tune it to perfection. And hey, I'm not just about giving orders. I'll explain why every adjustment matters, so you can really understand your ride. I'll even teach you the science behind the setup. Ever wonder why the track bar is so important? I've got the answer. With Pocket Crew Chief, I'll make you smarter, faster, and race ready. So what are we waiting for? Let's build to win.
Tonight, the drivers of the Mythic Metals Truck Series presented by the Spark Racing League will take a bit of a trip back in time to the historic Milwaukee Mile. We'll have all 120 laps of the Magnuson Grand Pioneer Inn and Suites 120 tonight on Slingshot Racing Media. I'm Sky Shrek, and I'm joined in the booth tonight by Logan Threlkeld. Kobe Jordan will be our producer. Logan, Milwaukee is a bit of a historic track. It's been open since the early 1900s. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, Sky. Milwaukee isn't just a racetrack. It is a time capsule of American motorsports. And believe it or not, originally opened up even earlier than 1903. It was back in 1876 as a horse racing track first, until it spent its time through the years getting to 1903 when we saw it get laid down with some fine American racing, and it's just been historic ever since. It's making it the oldest operating motor speedway in the world. That's right, it's older than Indianapolis, older than Daytona. This place even predates Henry Ford's first production car. But don't let its age fool you. This 1 mile oval may look simple on paper, but it's notoriously tough on drivers. The track is flat. Only 9 1/4 degrees of banking in the corners, just 2.5 degrees down the straights, and it is riddled with bumps and worn out patches that test every single suspension component on these vehicles. Drivers tonight will need rhythm, discipline, and perfect timing to keep this truck stable on corner entry and get all the power down without spinning off exit.
Absolutely, that is perfect. Milwaukee is such a bumpy track, and it is such an old track. These drivers are really going to have their hands full tonight. It's kind of like a rougher New Hampshire. A little bit rougher around the edges, a lot more bumps. Race is very fun. We're going to take a quick look at our schedule for the season. We are in race 5 here at the Milwaukee Mile. This will be our halfway point. We started out at Daytona. It was won by Chris Smith. 2 straight races won by Levi Cox. The next 2 weeks at Rockingham and Pocono. We took an off week, and then Derek Smith won last week at Kentucky. Milwaukee is this week, and with 5 weeks left in the season, we'll be going to Talladega and Portland next. Taking a look at your points, Levi Cox is your points leader, having won 2 races this season. But also winners Chris Smith and Derek Smith are less than 15 points behind. Rye Jones in the 91 has had a consistent year. He's up there in 4th. Evan Pienta, sponsor of our Pole Award, in P5. Braxton DeWeese, P6, will look to move a little further up the board tonight, along with Chris French, Robert Brobst, Dylan LeBeau, Brandon Ayers, Chase Berry, and Ryan Phillips rounding out your top 12. We're going to have a good field tonight. Looks like we've got 31 cars ready to race here at Milwaukee. What are you excited about most, Logan?
I am so excited. Tonight is throwback night, Sky. We're going to see a bunch of paint schemes out here from the past, and what a amazing track to pick to do it at. With all the history that Milwaukee has here, it is going to be just the ideal setting aside from Darlington.
Yeah, this track, it's even older than Darlington. It is a very old racetrack, and that's part of what makes it so much fun. Tire management is going to be key tonight with all the bumps on this racetrack. This is a track that gets hot as well. The track temp starting at 90 degrees tonight, so these drivers are going to be wary for that. You're going to want to run the bottom here. It's very much like New Hampshire. Can't really get that second lane going. You want to run right around the bottom. You want to stay ahead on any adjustments you might need to make. And we're going to see if we have a new winner tonight. Levi Cox, Chris, and Derek Smith have both been dominant. But there is a fastest car in qualifying, and it is none of those drivers. We're going to send it down to the national anthem, and when we'll come back, we'll tell you who that pole sitter is along with the rest of our qualifying field. We're back here at the Magnuson Grand Pioneer Inn and Suites 120 at the Milwaukee Mile. And as drivers are griding up, we are going to have a new name on pole. The winner of your Evan Pienta Designs Pole Award tonight is going to be Braxton DeWeese in the 15 car. He'll start on the inside. Levi Cox, your points leader, on the outside. Last week's winner, Derek Smith, rolls off third in that 66 car. Fourth place in points, Rye Jones, will roll off fourth. Second place in points, Chris Smith, rolls off fifth, and you've got Brandon Ayers in the 16 in sixth. Dylan LeBeau rolls off seventh tonight, Johnny Rapp in eighth, and the last two cars in your top 10 will be Ryan Phillips, ninth, and James Danforth, P10.
In row 6, it's going to be the 80 of Rob Liedl next to the 5 of Robert Probst in 12. Row 7 will be our pole award sponsor, Evan Pienta in the 55, starting out in 13th next to the 7 of Paul Hand. Jake Maki in the 13 will take up the 15th starting spot next to Ellis Thomas in the 8. The 87 of Clay Sampson starts out on the inside of row 9 next to the 1 of Benson Weaver in 18th. Last but not least, in the top starting 20, it's Tony Caputo in the 14 next to Brian Probst in the 11.
And as the pace car heads down the back straightaway, the rest of your field is going to be Laura Wiseman, 21st, Steve Vest, 22nd, Jacob Phillips, 23rd, Max Koss, 24th, Chase Berry will start 25th tonight next to Dan Berg in 26th, Aiden Neese, 27th, he's going to the EOL, Matthew Karakoff, 28th, O'Toole, Thomas, and Gentry will be your last three cars on the field tonight. We're going to get ready to go here before too long. The pace car is going to pull in as we exit turn 4. It'll be DeWeese and Cox on the front row. Lights are out. We're green here at Milwaukee. Staying tight side by side through lap 1, but the inside prevails as it will for much of tonight. Car around at the back. That is the 23 machine going through the grass into the inside wall. Going to have to come back up on the racetrack, but that's not a great start for that driver. That is, the 27 car of Ryan Phillips. Started up in 9th. He'll be back in 29th, finishing that lap. Not good for him.
Luckily, though, this is a long race, and it's only one completed. There will be plenty of time to see that 27 machine work his way back through the field. Up here at the front, Levi Cox trying to find a way to get around Braxton DeWeese. Cox is going to look down to the inside, but DeWeese knows where he needs to put that 15 to keep it up ahead right now.
The bottom is absolutely going to be dominant tonight, and you're going to see a lot of fights of drivers who want to get to that bottom line at all costs. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a bit of bumper banging later on in this race as the drivers get more aggressive and they get more desperate to get down there. Running on the top, not only is it a little slower, but it can burn up the tires, and if you get caught out there on a restart, you can really lose positions. I think we'll see that a little bit later tonight. Someone can't get down. Levi Cox is trying to angle it a little bit higher there on the crossover from 1 to 2 to try and get a better run off the corner so he can do this. Side by side with Braxton DeWeese down into 3. He'll have that inside line on the 15 car. He'll get clear by mid-corner. New leader as we take lap 5 will be Levi Cox.
It's no stranger to it with 2 wins on the season already, looking to make it number 3, but that 15 was bad fast in practice. He's going to be a tough one to stay in front of. Don't look now, but Derek Smith, last week's winner, he's sitting in that 3rd place position at the moment, looking to make it 2nd here. You saw a little bit of a peek down to the inside as the 28 of Chris Smith is going to send it in a little bit deeper than the counterpart of the 66 ahead of him.
That he is. Chris Smith and Derek Smith have been side by side basically all season. They've both won a race. They're right next to each other in points, and we can't separate them on the track if we try. They are always racing for position. This is no exception. A little further back there, Brandon Ayers is kind of falling off this lead group of Rye Jones. Looks like we might have saw a move for 3rd there. Derek Smith is trying to get some speed and pass Braxton DeWeese. It's actually for P2. That 15 car starting to fall backwards, might be trying to just save tire. Levi Cox is pulling well away of that car, and now Chris Smith is going to dive to the bottom, trying to take advantage of the hole left open by the 66. Maybe a little bit of contact there mid-corner, but he holds the line, and they'll stay side by side down into 3 and 4.
You know, it could be a little bit of a strategy of saving tires and fuel, starting this one off pretty cleanly here. Not a lot of door banging happening just yet. We saw the 27 get wrapped up and made his way to the back of the field, but he's already starting to work back up through it. So he's caught up now to Dan Berg at the back. Here we've got a look at the 8 of Ellis Thomas, and now up to Rye Jones, and the 3 of Dylan LeBeau battling it out here for that 5th place position. Jones on the inside line. LeBeau trying to keep him at bay here. A little bit further back, it's Mackey and Ellis Thomas one more time.
Ellis Thomas is going to have that advantage running down on the inside, but Mackey is doing a pretty good job of being able to get runs off the corners and really just be a nuisance there on the outside of that A car. He can't really run as high as he might like in that corner to try and build speed off because he's got Jake Mackey running there. And he's just getting the run out of the corner, and that is preventing Ellis Thomas from getting the better line into the corner. Haven't really seen anyone make the outside work to make a move tonight, but Jake Mackey is certainly trying to do it. Maybe a bit too high off this corner. We'll see if the 8 can get clear this time. Yes, he will. Ellis Thomas will take 13th.
Was a little bit of a door action there coming from Thomas to get around the 13, moving just up out of the groove there. You can see already forming around that bottom line is that rubber strip that you're going to see as we turn more and more laps. That whole racing line is just going to get darker and darker as we go.
Absolutely. With so many cars running the inside lane for so long, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually end up maybe building some marbles up on the top line and it becomes even harder to run up there. Gap for the lead has closed quite substantially. He's going to go back up there after a little bit of a bad corner from the 66 of Chris Smith, but he's really caught up to that 54 machine right there. He's taking these big sends into the corner, and they're helping to slice into that gap. It was 0.7 of a second when he passed Braxton DeWeese, and now it's down to 0.3 of a second. So a lot of speed for that 66 car. Levi Cox won your second and third races of the season. Chris Smith won your last race, and it's seeming like right now we might be able to get a repeat winner here tonight.
We very well might, and right now, you know, you highlighted how Derek Smith is really trying to get deep to the inside on these corners here, as we see right there. Perfect example, almost right up to the back bumper of Levi Cox. However, at what cost, you might ask? It's going to be the tires. The further and further you send it into the corner and the harder you have to get on the brakes, the more wear and tear you're putting on that right front tire. And that is going to slow you down the longer and longer you go. Now we're looking at this battle here forming up for that 4th place position. Ryan Jones leading the way here with Chris Smith and Dylan LeBeau hot on his trail. All 3 of them starting to make up some ground on the 15 of DeWeese as well.
If there was one driver who I would pick to get a first-time win this season, it would be Ryan Jones. He's been so consistent this year. Doesn't have that win, but he consistently is sitting up in the top 5. He's 4th in points, right behind the 3 drivers who have gotten wins here this season. If anyone's going to break through tonight, I think Ryan Jones stands a pretty good shot. So does Braxton DeWeese, still running back in that 3rd position.
And again, it is a very long race. Just as Chris has said in chat, long race, fellas, you are 100% correct about that. As this time by, going to come around and start lap 15 out of 120. The script isn't quite written for the rest of the race, so we have no idea what's going to happen here, and it can all change in the matter of just a split second.
Yeah, and the running order in these races very frequently has changed. We've only had 2 drivers, that being Levi Cox and Evan Pienza, who are in 1st and 7th, who have managed to get a top 10 in every race this season. A lot of different drivers have broke up into that top 10 this season and have made good runs. Looking a little further back here, this is the 27 of Ryan Phillips trying to recover from that early spin, working up the inside of Patrick O'Toole in the 44. Ryan Phillips was running 29th after that spin occurred, but he's gotten it back up to 25th. Very much not where he would like to be, but the recovery has started for that 27. And as you mentioned, It is a very long race. He is going to have time to work his way up the field if he manages his tires and just plays it safe. Look at this battle. This is for third. Rye Jones trying to get up the inside of Braxton DeWeese in the 15 car. DeWeese dropping back quite a bit here in the early stages of this race. I wonder if he's just trying to save tires. This has the makings of a pretty long run. So if we do get that long run, I think DeWeese could come back to him in the back half of it.
Couple things to highlight on tonight's race setup. We've only got 3 sets of tires available for the 120 laps, and still with that 85% fuel capacity. So, you know, it's you got to play it smart with the tires. I like the route that DeWeese is taking right now. Try to extend the life of this first set of tires, maybe even extend the life of that fuel cell a little bit more. Try to get 1 or 2 laps over your other competitors once they finally decide to come in. I don't quite think that we'll make it to the halfway point on the fuel, but it'll surely be close.
It will be. We'll only really know the fuel window once these cars actually start to come down here. 85% fuel in this series can really throw a wrench in things. Derek Smith is still caught up to the back bumper of that 54 car. You mentioned it earlier, but I do wonder if he is burning up those tires, taking these big dives down into the corner, trying to get speed. I mean, you can see it right there. He picks up a whole 10th just on entry and then loses most of it on exit. That can't be good for the tires here in the early portion of this race, and I wonder if later on in this run or in the second run he maybe adjusts his driving line a little to try and be a little bit nicer on that rubber as he tries to close in on the 54.
And what really kills those front tires, Sky, are those little micro corrections that you make while you're in that slide, and you notice the front end start to push up through the track, as you see right here. Not nearly as bad that time for the 66, and kept it on that ideal racing line as best as he could, but those micro corrections just take off more and more of that tire life every time he has to make one. And right now, just you can see visually how much more smooth Levi Cox is, as he's got all the fresh air in the world that he could ask for.
Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to the driver running in 5th tonight. That is Dylan LeBeau. He was 2nd in points going into the last race. Couldn't be here, had to miss Kentucky, and as a result has dropped back to 9th in points. But you can't count this driver out yet. Doesn't have a top 5, which is kind of shocking this season, but he's been a very consistent top 10 runner. Got a lot of speed in that 3 car, and he's been very consistent up here at the front of the field. When we did the Xfinity series here with the Spark Racing League, he was always a contender. He won a race in that series. He'll look to try to win a race again this season in the Truck Series. He seems early on, or I say early on, but it's only 10 races. We're actually halfway through, like one of the faster cars in the field. Rye Jones, speaking of fast, starting to close on Derek Smith and Levi Cox up front. That gap is down to about 9/10 of a second. DeWeese is not straying from the bumper of that 91 car, though.
I think DeWeese has realized that he can't let these guys get too far ahead of him. You know, this pit cycle is going to be important once we finally get to it, whether it's 1 or 2 on the night. The timing that you can get as close to the bumper to the driver in front of you as you're coming down pit lane, it's all about the milliseconds whenever you're coming down that road.
Oh, absolutely. If we get green flag pit stops here, it could get difficult for these drivers on this pit road. Milwaukee Mile is a track that's not run very often on iRacing, so these drivers likely do not have a lot of experience without a pit here. Unless they were practicing it during the practice session or during the warm-up session, they might be flying blind heading into the pit lane, and those 2 seconds you can lose from playing it cautious while you try to make it down into the pits can be the 2 seconds that cost you the race win. So you have to be very careful here tonight not to mess up. If we do see green flag stops, lap 25, everything's been clean and green so far. I would not be surprised if we get those later on this race.
And just to add on to that, we've already seen how slick that bottom can be once you start getting on that painted surface there, whether it's the yellow or the white line coming to pit road. It can get really slick. It's already claimed one driver that's having to drive all the way back up to the top 10 before he sees his original starting position.
Ryan Phillips is going to have a long way to go. Rye Jones is still closing in right now. Last lap, Levi Cox was the slowest car in the top. Well, let's go down the list here. Slowest car in the top 6. Everyone back to Chris Smith was faster than Levi Cox. So, doesn't seem to have a ton of speed in that car right now. He's maybe saving a little bit more as he holds that lead, knowing that these drivers are going to have to get a send on the inside to actually manage to get around him. And while he's saving a little bit more, Rye Jones back through Dylan LeBeau and occasionally Chris Smith are faster than that 54 car, and they are gaining time on your leader. Rye Jones is going to have the gap down at about 0.6 of a second this time around. He is rapidly closing in, although a bobble out of the corner might leave him vulnerable to Braxton DeWeese down into 1. 91 will hold the spot.
You know, and thinking about it here, one thing I'm excited to see towards the end of this race, we saw it last time by, that 66 started to use the apron a little bit through the exit of 2, and that it's very New Hampshire-esque to even think about using that apron. We'll see if he'll continue that as we get closer to that lap 120 and try to make a pass down there a little bit further than what his competitor might be. Looking off the back of the 91 right now, Braxton DeWeese doing a great job of filling up that rearview mirror, looking to the inside, keeps it wrapped all the way around the bottom. Jones recognizes that, gets right down in front of him, right back up to the wall, coming down the backstretch. DeWeese sends it to the inside. Here's this pass for third place we've been waiting for, Sky.
We have. Braxton DeWeese has been saving those tires for the first 29 laps of this race, and now he's starting to come alive with a little bit better tires than the cars in front of him. Big lunge into the corner will take him even closer to the top 2. If he can manage these tires over the next 20 laps, I think he's got a real shot to drive it up, drive it around Derek Smith, get around Levi Cox, and be your race leader, but he won't get the chance because the caution is going to fly here on lap 30. Couple cars around here at the back. Patrick O'Toole is slow on the front straightaway. He was around in that accident. It's going to be a single car spin here, working out of 4. O'Toole's on the top. He's up in the marbles, going over the bumps. And he just plain loses it there, trying to get out of the corner. Backs it into the fence. Straightens it out, but he's slow on the racetrack, and that'll bring out our first yellow of the night. I'm imagining we're going to see pit stops from everybody.
We absolutely should. Sky, I just want to say, we have a perfect soundboard for that one right there. That's right. Patrick O'Toole, the driver of that 44, unfortunately backed it up into the wall, but not a whole lot of damage for him. He'll be able to bring it down pit road here once he catches back up to the rest of the field. Looks like we're going to have a couple takers to stay out. DeWeese going to lead the charge on this restart on 30-lap old tires. I think that's going to be Chris Smith in the 28, taking up the second spot to his outside as well. Look at that. We've got the Mission Barbecue truck making his way up here. The 52, Johnny Rapp's going to take up third. Ellis Thomas going to stay out. Danforth, Liedl, Sampson. I think even maybe Ryan Phillips. Couple more coming through now on the picture.
That is about 12 cars looking like who are going to stay out right now. That is a lot more than I thought the number was going to be. We're going to have Braxton DeWeese in first, back to Paul Thomas in 11th, who all stayed out on old tires. A lot of those drivers like Braxton DeWeese were saving pretty heavily over the first part of that run. And now I wonder, can those tires hold up now that they've got clean air and now that they have the advantage of that inside line to try and hold off these cars behind them? This is a track that can be very difficult to pass. These drivers who did pit, like Levi Cox, Derek Smith, Rye Jones, might all have to use up their rubber a little bit in order to get back to the front of the field, which could end up working out in the no-tire car's favor. Lights on the pace car are off, and I do want to correct myself for something I said earlier. I was being lied to by the points application I use. Dylan LeBeau was 6th in points heading into last week, not 2nd.
So didn't lose nearly as many positions as we thought on the standings, but you know, we'll see if he can make something happen here tonight and start to crawl back up to that top 5 position where he was ever so close to. But coming down the back stretch, Deweese on the inside, Smith on the outside. Rapp will make up row 2 on the inside with Ellis Thomas in the 8, right behind his teammate Chris Smith. So that's going to be an ideal combination for those two. Let's see how well they work together and try to keep these fresh tires behind.
We are going to see the pace car is going to make a pretty tight move here down into pit road and make sure these drivers don't spin the tires here up front. It'll be Deweese and Smith, and it's a great jump for Deweese on that older rubber. He's off down into turn 1. That's a great run down for him. Car up the track a little bit further back, and we have a spinner. That is Levi Cox around in the middle of the field. He's your points leader.
That's not what you want to see if you're the 54 team. Luckily, it doesn't look like he got too bad of damage, and I believe we even had a couple black flags on that restart. Not too sure what for, but the 00 Karakov and the 7 of Han will pick up black flags.
Well, that might have been choose cone related. This is going to happen in front of Levi Cox, really. James Danforth goes in a little too deep, kind of locks it up, sends it up the track, trying to dodge the car of, that is Ellis Thomas in front of him, gets into the side of Rob Liedl, gets loose. Levi Cox checks up, tries to dodge that near accident, and while he's trying to dodge that, kind of moves down into Brian Probst, and it sends the 54 car around. Luckily, doesn't look like too much damage for Levi Cox. He'll be able to keep going, but he is going to have to work his way up from last.
Well, you hate to see that, but it kind of almost levels the playing field in a sense. Levi Cox already picking up 2 wins on the season. He's got a decent points advantage. This will kind of bring him back to earth with that one, unless he just drives all the way back up to the front. That would be incredible to watch, and if there's any driver capable of it, it's that 54 machine for certain.
Well, I got bad news for the 54 car, because if my timing and scoring is correct, he is currently being showed 1 lap down after that caution and his subsequent pit stop. He's going to need a yellow and a lucky dog to get his way back up there, and then he can start moving through the field.
Well, cautions breed caution, Sky. We've seen it once already here. But it was nice to see. That was a pretty clean restart up here at the front of the pack with all those old tires. They managed it very, very well.
That they did. I think we saw a few more pit stops that time. Some drivers who did not pit the first time around. James Danforth, Patrick O'Toole, Clay Sampson, and it looks like Aiden Neese all making a move down pit road, along with a fuel-only stop for Jake Mackey in the 13. Your top 7 cars going to be pretty similar here. Those are all the cars who are running on older tires. That only means less cars for Rye Jones, Derek Smith, and Brandon Ayers to have to pass here in order to get back to the lead on their newer rubber. What was an 11-car gap to Braxton Deweese is now only a 7-car gap, and they're going to have a much better chance here of getting up to this 15-car on his older tires. He has been saving for most of the race so far, but we'll see how much he really has left in the tank on these tires. The pace car is going to pull down at a 4, and it'll be a same front row as last time. Deweese and Chris Smith, and on lap 38, the green flag flies, and it's another great jump for Deweese.
That bottom line sure can move out, as you see Ellis Thomas immediately move down to the bottom behind Johnny Rapp. Chris Smith stuck up on the outside. Rapp on that bottom line. He's going to get a good run through the corner, but that 28 just got it done on exit. Right back around to that second place position with no contention from behind. 3 wide behind, however. That looks like it's around the 11 machine. We've got a stack up here.
Caution is out, and you can see the cars going around in the background. The 84 of Laura Wiseman is involved. She is sideways in the middle of the track, and we've got some others back there as well. It's like a lot of cars did end up making it out without too much damage, but we had a couple other spinners there, kind of in front of the field. I'm going to take a replay and see how that happened. Oh, this is in front of Wiseman. This starts with Brandon Ayers up there. Few spots up the road in that 16 car. Wiseman is trying to check up, get some contact from Karakov in the 00 behind. That's what sends her around. This is going to start actually all the way up with the 11 car of Brobst, who gets loose, collects the other Brobst. Oh, this is from the 4 wide. Okay, I see what we're doing now. This is 4 wide in the middle of the corner. You've got Brian Brobst in the 11. He's got Rye Jones up the inside, Derek Smith up the outside, and just contact with Ryan Phillips gets him loose into Robert Brobst, into Brandon Ayers, and it looks like some damage maybe for Dylan LeBeau as well in that.
Brobst on Brobst crime there, sending his brother around. Finishes off the 11, and we're going to stack him back up here. But there we go. There's the opportunity for the 54. He's back on the lead lap now as he'll receive that lucky dog, leaving just the 7 of Paul Hahn on 1 lap behind. If we see another caution out on the track, Hahn will be back on the lead lap as well, putting us back up to our full 30-car field in contention for a win.
And those 2 cars on 4 tires are getting slowly but surely closer to the front. There's only 5 cars on worn rubber ahead of those 2 cars of Rye Jones and Derek Smith, who are now running 6th and 7th on those new tires. They are going to be looking to move to the front here soon. Lights on the pace car are off this time.
Double back up here, coming down into turn 1. You know, this is looking pretty good here for the 15. I like the call to stay out now. It was a little bit risky, but you're going to continue to run some laps up here at the front of the field. You're getting really good restarts. Nobody really forcing any sort of an issue as the 15 gets out to about 3 or 4 car lengths ahead. So it's starting to make me wonder how the fuel cell is going to end up here for Braxton DeWeese. Can he make it to lap 60 and make this a 1-lap or 1-stop race where the other competitors, if it goes green, you know, they're going to be running out of fuel before we see lap 20, I would assume.
He's definitely going to have the advantage here with all of these cautions that have come out. They've been able to stretch his fuel cell further over these last 10 laps, and as we take the green flag, he's going to try to keep that fuel cell going good for another lap. Johnny Rapp, another quick move down to the inside of Chris Smith. You really do not want to get stuck on that top line here, especially if you're on older rubber and you're trying to keep it together. Rye Jones continues to lurk in the background. That 91 car is up to 4th as he tries to drive it through to the lead on new tires.
This is where the new tires will prevail. Here's where you see that outside line getting used. Jones finding some speed. He'll get side by side with Johnny Rapp coming across that start-finish line. Let's see if he can get the drive off of turn 2 that he needs to start attacking Chris Smith that's currently holding 2nd.
This is the advantage of those fresh tires. Like you said, it's being able to run that high line and actually make passes doing it. Now that Rye Jones has gotten down to the bottom, he'll be even quicker back there. Chris Smith ain't too far up the road, only about 0.2 of a second further to that 28 car. But Braxton DeWeese is starting to get away. Oh, car around. That's Robert Brobst spinning into the pit lane.
That was a big hit to the pit barrels, too. That's going to be a lot of damage for the 5. A couple more maybe avoiding the incident here, bringing it down pit road, but we'll take a look back here on the instant replay. There's the 5, just gets loose off corner exit, and you can see how narrow it is back here. Patrick O'Toole almost helps him. Mackey does a fantastic job keeping that truck straight to avoid it. We've got one more coming down. Had to lock it up right before he got into the back bumper. Big damage for Brian Brobst.
That is not at all where you want to pit, or where you want to hit. Those pit barrels are so tough on iRacing. They can really do a number on your car. He's going to have some pretty serious damage after that, and he is not going to be happy with it. Braxton DeWeese will still be up front. Chris Smith will still be 2nd, but Rye Jones is there. He's 3rd. Derek Smith is 4th. Your 2nd row is going to be 2 cars on 30-lap pressure tires trying to get around Braxton DeWeese. I think with his 1 second advantage there, he would have really liked that to stay green.
Oh, you would like for that to stay green no matter where you're at in the field, realistically. And there's your pit stop data. 32 laps of difference between DeWeese, Smith, and Jones and Smith. So it's going to be a battle here right off the rip. I would expect to see both of those drivers getting heavily attacked from Jones and Derek Smith from behind. Top and bottom lane will be used here on this restart. And there we can see some of our big movers on the night. Paul Thomas up 19 positions. He's running in the 11th spot right now, up from the very, very back of the field in that 30th starting position.
Been a great run up through the field for him. Aiden Neese as well has gone 27-10, doing a good job right there. Ellis Thomas 16-7, and your pole award sponsor Evan Pienta Designs up 13-6. Got some big movers in this race. Not big movers. Levi Cox has gotten that car back up to 20th. He was one lap down after an accident a few laps ago. Some of these cars spinning out and getting sent to the back is actually helping that 54 car slowly work his way back up through the field. He's going to try to get back up to the front to lead his third, or to win his third race of the season. Lights on the pace car are out once again, and we'll see if we can get a green flag run in on lap 48.
It looks like DeWeese is going to be electing for the top lane here on this restart, so a little bit of a different call. So he's going to allow Chris Smith to start on the inside. DeWeese is likely going to try to maximize corner entry here into turn 1. I'd say that's the only logical reason for taking the top lane here, because if you leave Chris Smith a door open on the bottom into that first corner, you're going to lose that position.
Absolutely, you have to get clear, but DeWeese has shown a couple times now that he's pretty good at getting clear on the top. Maybe hoping that the 28 slowing down will maybe slow that 91 car up, and DeWeese can get away down into turn 1. It's going to be all to play for these top two cars. We're going to see how long they can hold off the drivers behind them on these fresher tires. 17 laps is probably more than we thought they would last, as DeWeese is back green. And he does exactly what he needs to do. Great jump off into turn 1. He'll get way clear. Chris Smith will get down in second, but it's Derek Smith trying to ring the top and catch them both up.
Derek Smith really using the 28 of Chris Smith as a pick on Rye Jones. Kept Jones locked down on the bottom there through 1 and 2. And it's a stack up in the back. The 98 spun around now. Dan Berg gets sent.
There is another caution. This track isn't really a short track, but it definitely races like one. You're seeing that here tonight. We have had some sends. This is going to start a little further back in the field. You're going to see Levi Cox as we come into turn 3. Is going to try a big move to the inside here. Dan Berg and Chase Berry going to go 3 wide for position. And Berg just kind of slides up the racetrack there. Maybe he didn't know what to do with the 3 wide. Collects. That is Chase Berry in front of him, and then Patrick O'Toole gets into the back of that car as he tried to catch it. And they were both sent pretty hard into the fence there. That's big damage. Big damage for Patrick O'Toole. His race is over.
Do we do it one more time, Sky?
If you want. There you go.
I love that.
I didn't know that existed until about 30 laps ago, so surprising me as well.
It does look like the 44 is going to bring it behind pit wall. So now I feel kind of bad, Sky. That's not the way that you want to see Patrick O'Toole exiting the race. I didn't think that he picked up that much damage from that.
Yeah, well, he kind of destroyed the engine there. It was a really hard front end hit to the wall. I think if he hit that maybe side on or even back on, probably would have been fine. But when you're going head on into the wall like that, it's very easy to blow up the engine of that car.
I did miss the secondary hit into the wall. I just saw the initial contact with Dan Berg. But let's talk about what's going on up here at the front now. Braxton DeWeese still leading, so he'll have control of this restart, which is going to be ever so important here, as now he's surrounded by, you got Derek Smith on fresh tires, Ryan Jones on fresh tires, Chris Smith, he'll be one behind Braxton DeWeese, depending on, well, it does look like he's going to elect back for the bottom, which is the best call you can make here. No matter where you put yourself with a fresh tire car to your inside or outside, that's not going to work. This position's pretty well Derek Smith's once we get going down the backstretch.
But I think this has ultimately been good for Braxton DeWeese, all these cautions, because 21 laps is a lot longer than I think he would have lasted if we just had a 21-lap green flag run. He stayed in the lead much longer than he probably would have on these older tires, and that has also helped him a lot on fuel. He can certainly go to halfway now with about 20 straight laps of caution, turn this into a one-stop race. I like Braxton DeWeese's strategy right now. I think he's got a pretty good call going, and he could really benefit here, especially with all these cautions. I'm going to see if we can get a green flag run here at least to halfway. It'll be DeWeese and Chris Smith. Green flag is out. DeWeese gets the jump. He's going to at least be clear down here into turn 1, but Derek Smith will be on him in a hurry. And there you go. Already straight to the outside of that 15 car.
Yeah, there's just nothing Braxton DeWeese can do about that. Those fresh tires will prevail every single time. The best thing that he could do is exactly what he did. Make Smith use up those tires using that outside line as much as he possibly can before he's free and clear. And DeWeese is going to get loose on the bottom. Here's those 52-lap old tires coming into play.
There you go. New leader Derek Smith crossed the line that time. Ryan Jones also working on the top. Really using up that rubber there in third. Trying to get around right now Chris Smith, but right up the road, Braxton DeWeese. Next car on fresh rubber is Evan Pienta in 5th, and it's Aiden Neese in 7th. Tony Caputo in 10th has had a pretty good run up through the field here. He's the 5th car on fresh tires. You got some cars in there like Ellis Thomas, Rob Lidl running this fuel strategy as we'll go 3 wide down into turn 1. That's the 88 of Danforth on the top, and he's going to barely get clear, but we'll go right back 3 wide because it's the 87 of Clay Sampson jumping right back to the top. Levi Cox is trying to make some way through this field here. Back up inside your top 15. Huge send-off into that corner for Clay Sampson, but he's going to run it up the road a little bit, and he doesn't have the exit he needs. Levi Cox clear to 13th. His charge back to the front is going. We're 3 wide again ahead of him there. That is LeBeau, that is Caputo, that is Danforth.
Really good battle here mid-pack. You saw Benson Weaver. He was the meat of that sandwich more than once. He couldn't seem to get away from that middle line. Finally got away from it, however, as Levi Cox was able to get by. Now knocking at the door of that 3 wide battle that just finally finished. We're pretty well single-filed out through the top 10 now, but Levi Cox still going to look to make some moves.
And with that 10 car, with that 3 car, Dylan LeBeau running 10th up there, he's on a whole new pit strategy. He pit 10 laps ago on lap 46, so he's got 15 lap fresher tires than the guys we would consider to be on fresher tires, and he's using them. He's moving through the field right now.
This is exactly what you see, or want to see, rather, if you're the 15 of DeWeese, is a good green flag run here, because I'm in question on the fuel cell capacity. If we were to go, green flag run from here to the end, DeWeese obviously still needs to pit one more time, but so do his competitors. So, I don't know if this race is pretty well going to even itself out. This is kind of a weird set of strategies, now that I think about it.
It is, and we've got some cars running very different ones. Oh, big loose at the back there for that 11 car, Brian Brope. So we got a pulse check, heart rate monitor tonight on Rob Lidl, sitting pretty steady at 80 beats per minute right now as he dices his way through traffic. If that's right, that's one of the lower ones we've seen this season by a lot.
That's holding pretty steady considering the firestorm that he has been under the last couple of laps. I'm going to say that's not quite accurate there, Sky.
We've been having some issues with that all season. We'll get that worked out for next race for sure, if that is not accurate. Rye Jones is finally caught and passed Braxton DeWeese, so that 15 car has dropped back to 3rd, and now Evan Pienta in the 55. One of our top drivers this season has finished in the top 5 3 times, is looking to do it again here as he runs 4th.
He can make it 4 out of 5. That's not a bad way to get the first half of the season done by any means. And there we are, Pienta trying to close up that gap and get to the inside of Braxton DeWeese. We'll see if he can get it done as he's going to get a good run around the bottom. DeWeese just able to hold him off there. Really swings that exit out a lot wider than we saw Pienta get out to the wall. So he's going to pick up some speed, but here's that closure rate with the fresh tires. Right back to the back bumper.
These drivers who have those fresher tires are so quick. Dylan LeBeau, who pit on lap 46, is up to P7. He is really gaining time. He's past Johnny Rapp. He's past Ellis Thomas. Levi Cox, also very fast right now in that 54 car, has got it up to 9th. Back in the top 10 for him. He's going to need maybe some cautions to get back up here to try to win this race, but he is back in the top 10, hoping to hold on to his points lead after that early race spin. A little bit of a different paint scheme for Evan Pienta tonight. We're used to that all purple look for the 55. Running kind of an off blue there. Threw me off for a second.
As throwback paints will do that to you. A lot of really good ones out there tonight. We've got right there on screen, it's that 8 of Ellis Thomas with the Stone Cold Austin 316. That's a good paint scheme there. I know Braxton DeWeese, that's a throwback to Jeff Bodine. There's a couple more through the field as well. I've had some notes somewhere, but struggling to find them now.
I really like that James Danforth car, mostly because I really like Crunch as a candy bar. That I'm kind of biased in that regard, but it is a pretty nice looking paint scheme there in the 88.
It's always one of my favorite candy bars growing up, so I would have to agree with you there. James Danforth, that's going to take my my pick on the night for the best scheme.
Yep, I'm with you on that one for sure. Ryan Phillips also had an early race spin. Was under green too, so he really has had to drive his way back up. He got another EOL about 20 laps to go for another incident, and yet here he is, will not go away, passing Tony Caputo for P13. This 27 car has had one heck of a night, and the fact that he's still up here, still fighting for these top 15 positions is pretty impressive.
By the end of it all, he might be able to take that award for the most cars passed. Maybe not the hard charger, as he did start up in the top 10, but certainly putting on a clinic on how to pass at the Milwaukee Mile.
Yeah, and this is a track that's not exactly known for its passing opportunities, and yet we've seen cars like LeBeau and Cox and Ryan Phillips be able to drive their way up through the field here tonight, so passing not as hard as we thought it might be going in. Evan Pienta still has not caught and passed Braxton DeWeese. He's really slowing that 55 car up. Pienta doesn't want to really move to the top. Oh, big loose Ryan Phillips. Maybe some contact there with Caputo. He's in the outside wall. He can't catch a break today.
Oh, judging by that hit, he caught about as much of a break as he could. Barely scrapes the wall, so he's going to keep that momentum. Bring it back down here through turns 1 and 2. Looks to be back under control. I don't think there's any steering damage done to the 27 after that one. So that's about a best case scenario there.
Pienta's getting pretty fed up with that 15 car of Braxton DeWeese holding him up on the bottom. He tried to move him a couple corners ago, but he wasn't able to do it. So now he's still lurking back there in 4th, desperately trying to find a way around the 67 lap old tires on that 15 car, as Ryan Phillips tries to work his way back around another driver and up in the top 10 in points, Brandon Ayers in the 16. Not his best race of the season. He's a driver who's pretty reliably been in the top 10 this season, but he's going to look to have a better run here tonight.
It's like you said, Pienta still trying to find a way around Braxton DeWeese. DeWeese fending off as best as he can. You can see just, oh, Pienta's loose behind, but he collects it. That was a big one there. Now Pienta's going to be under fire from Aiden Neese. The role has been reversed here. Neese to that bottom line. He's going to get some sort of speed across there. Will he be able to get up ahead of the nose of Pienta? He will not. They'll still be side by side back down the front stretch. This time, Neese will look to get it done as he dives into the corner way early. And there's the slide job.
Man, I wonder if Pienta blew up his tires there trying to get around Braxton DeWeese. He was really lunging into those corners, got into the rear bumper of that 15 a few times. He might have just overheated his tires while trying to make that move, and now he's going the opposite direction of where he was trying to go. that being held up by that slower 15 car has really turned into a nightmare for Evan Pienza. Now Aiden Neese will try to get around, and now Dylan LeBeau, who's on about 15 lap fresher tires than Pienza is, has caught up to that 55 car. He'll look to enter the top 5. Brandon Ayers has made a move on Tony Caputo for P14.
Just a quick recap. Recall that we have just 3 tire sets available in this race. So over half the field has already used 1 set over the wall. So that'll leave him with 1 more available at the end of this race. Braxton DeWeese still has 2 sitting over the wall. Chris Smith, Johnny Rapp, Ellis Thomas, and Rob Liedl, as well as Paul Thomas back in the 25th position. None of those drivers have brought it down pit road for fuel or tires just yet.
We're going to see green flag pit stops eventually from those drivers, but it is a matter of timing at this point as we settle into a fairly long green flag run. That's going to be the main question on a lot of drivers' minds, is how do you play the pit strategy game right now? LeBeau has gotten around Pienza. He's up to that 5th position, and now Levi Cox in the 54. He's been hard charging through the field. He's caught up to the back of Pienza. This has been, though, like the real star of the show this run has been the tire-saving prowess of Braxton DeWeese. He has done an incredible job to hold that car in 3rd on 73-lap-old tires. He has given it absolutely everything right now, and it's working.
And now you have to question, when do you come down for fuel? That window is open here to make it to the very end of this race from this point going forward. So it's really just kind of preference, I guess. Do you want fresher tires for the end of the race? Do you want to go ahead and get some fresh tires on, as you've got Derek Smith and Rye Jones starting their 42nd lap here on their tires? You know, it's kind of dealer's choice for Braxton DeWeese right now.
Here's Levi Cox. He is trying to get around that Evan Pienza 55 car at the minute. Let's take a look down to the inside here. Maybe try to get something going. Through 3. Not happening that time. He'll stay behind the 55, but I think it's pretty clear Pienza has overheated his tires and he needs to calm down, get back in line to keep it going. And now Braxton DeWeese, after 75 laps, finally going to duck it into pit road.
So the dealer finally made the choice. Just as I was saying that, Sky. It was just a matter of 2 more corners.
Pretty good call there from you. He's going to take 4 here for sure. Pull it back out onto the racetrack. 1 lap down, and he'll hope it stays green long enough for everybody to cycle around with him. You got to remember, these cars up here, Derek Smith, Rye Jones, are all 30-lap newer tires than him. So if it's 30 more laps under green that they can run, expect pit stops around lap 105, but I think they're going to come down earlier than that. Chris Smith is now going to make the turn down as well. He's another one of those cars who was out there trying to save tires. Rob Liedl also has not pit this race. He'll do the same thing in that 80 car.
So now that we actually have some data from these drivers that elected to stay out, we can guess that about 55 laps or so on the fuel cell at the 85% capacity is what you're going to see under green flag conditions. Remember, we had quite a few cautions there back to back. So we had 5 in total so far this race before these leaders brought it down. If we stay green, I think everybody up here in the top 10, aside from Dylan LeBeau, is going to have to bring it back down possibly.
I think Dylan LeBeau will have to bring it down too. Those 75 laps that DeWeese ran were helped by about 20-25 straight laps of caution. That is going to help him, and that's 20 to 25 laps that Dylan LeBeau did not really have. So I think if we stay green here to 120, he'll likely have to bring it down too. The question is going to be, does he come down for maybe a fuel only, maybe a 2-tire? It's all up in the air for that 3 car right now. He has the most options out of anybody.
I'm going to say LeBeau brought it down and had maybe 10 to 15 laps of pacing on this fuel cell, so he will certainly be close if we stay green to the end, but I'm with you. I think he'll be just short.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to run the full 40 laps to the end here, but if anyone can, it will be him. Some of these cars up in front of him, Derek Smith, Rye Jones, Aiden Neese, they're definitely going to need to pit. Almost some contact there between Levi Cox and LeBeau in that 3 car. Side by side up ahead of him with a lapper side by side for position here for third. Levi Cox, he's on 15 lap older tires than Dylan LeBeau is, and he has those things working right now. Derek Smith is going to come into the pit lane. Now that's interesting. He's one of those cars who pit on lap 30.
And actually, here's even a bigger plot twist for you. Levi Cox, last time in the pit stall, only 5.3 seconds, indicating that was a fuel-only stop. So his tires are even older than the 46 laps that we're showing right now.
Well, I think what happened with Levi Cox is he came down on lap 30, and then he came down and we had another caution on lap 34 and topped it off on fuel. I think he did take tires around the same time as Rye Jones, Evan Pienta, but he just took an extra fuel stop there because he was getting an EOL anyway. Or he was 1 lap down anyway at that time.
See if that strategy will pay off, as here comes Levi Cox now. 54 making his hopefully last stop of the race. This will be that second set of tires going on the 54. So he will have no more available to the end of this one. Right sides go up. That will be a set of 4. There's no sense in taking right sides only here. Here's this battle a little bit further back. Johnny Rapp is in the picture for this one. Ryan Jones in the 91 with the 60 just ahead.
Rye Jones is really being swamped by these lap cars right now. They're running all around him trying to get around, and Rye Jones wants to run the bottom because he wants to force those lappers up to the top, make them use up those tires a little bit more than they might want to. If they're going to pass him, he's going to give them nothing for free here. He wants to basically be as annoying as possible to these lap cars here and slow them up, because he's going to do a very late pit stop in comparison to some of your other leaders. Bit of an overcut here. Hopefully for him, it comes back to him towards the end of the run and he doesn't pit too late.
Yeah, it's such a tough call to make in a situation like this, especially when you're driving as hard as you have to. Karakov now bringing it down pit road. But when you're driving as hard as you have to track like this, it can really take away your focus on making the right strategy calls. So it's all going to be about timing. We mentioned it at the very beginning. Karakov takes off out of the box and stops again. I'm not sure what's happening with the 00 right now. Right sides will go up.
Maybe didn't pull in far enough. He had to move further into the box. Missed the pit stall a little bit.
It's a little bit short. Now Karakov is on his way.
Yeah, full 4 tire stop there for him. Pretty okay stop, but getting into the box was a little bit of difficulty there. I think he's currently second last in points of our full-time drivers. He needs a good run here tonight. He was running up in the top 20, so hopefully he can finish there and finally get some momentum going for himself for the points, because he's had some runs up front this season. None of them have amounted to anything, though. Rye Jones is kind of getting caught by Aiden Neese and Dylan LeBeau. I wonder if that's because he's been having to deal with some of those lap cars working their way back around him. That 91 car had the gap at about 3 seconds. It's come down to about 2.5 here. These cars who are running long in comparison to some drivers like Levi Cox, Johnny Rapp, Chris Smith, are really just doing all they can to make good time, not blow their tires up too bad, and make sure that when they do come down, whether that's lap 90, whether that's lap 100, they can take those last 20 or 30 laps, go full throttle, and try to get what they'd lost back.
Well, Sky, we're well over halfway through this race and almost at that 50 lap to go mark, or 30 lap to go mark. V-speed, math, it's one of those things we don't do good at math. Anyways, nearing the end of this one, Sky, who do you have for your pick to take this #1 spot on the podium?
That is real. Oh, well, never mind. Dylan LeBeau's going around. That's going to be a caution. That is not at all what that 3 car wanted, and you know who that really does not want to see that? Rob Liedl, Ellis Thomas, Steve Vest, Levi Cox, Matthew Karikoff, Robert Probst, all 1 lap down when that came out. And I don't think Levi Cox is going to get the lucky dog either because he's involved in this accident. So he's going to still be 1 lap down.
That is unfortunate for the 54 right there. Even Evan Pienta gets a little bit of damage from it on the right front. Man, what a plot twist here.
Woo, my pick to win. All right, well, after that chaos, I think I'm going to go with Braxton DeWeese here. Because it looks like everyone in front of him is yet to pit, and he will cycle around to be the leader, and we know he's very good on the long run here. This is going to be pretty much everybody, I think, coming down pit road right here. I don't think Levi Cox is going to get that lucky dog. He might get the wave around here. He will get a wave around. I think the lucky dog is going to go to Steve Vest in that 60 car. Yes, it will. Steve Vest will get the lucky dog. Levi Cox will get a wave around. Levi Cox won't be able to pit like everybody else does, and I'm not sure if he has tires left to do that anyway. Full field coming down pit road, we have... Well, it looks like we have 1 car staying out. It's Jake Mackey in the 13.
Mackey with an interesting call here, but he's been to the pits 4 times already. Last time in was a fuel-only stop. I'm not sure if he'll still have a tire set available. Levi Cox, however, the last pit stop on the 54 that we saw, that will be his last set of tires available for the race. 3 times to the box for him. I don't think anybody else, Braxton DeWeese, Chris Smith, 1 time through pit road. Ellis Thomas, Rob Liedl, 1 time through pit road. So they'll still have another set available here, but the rest of the field's been in 2 or more times. So,
and here comes Jake Mackey down now, so he'll make that pit stop here and he'll cycle to the back. I thought more cars were going to stay out. The fact that only Smith, DeWeese, and Smith again came down pit road is kind of shocking to me. I thought we were going to have more cars come down. Or more cars stay out.
I can't say I'm too terribly surprised. You know, after that long green flag run we just had, you have to almost assume that it's going to happen again and go to the end. So now could be the last stop of the race. You have to take that chance and just be kind to your tires if you think that it could change. You know, if you start seeing some stuff that's happening in front of you that could really put a damper on what you're trying to attempt, that's whenever you're going to have to adjust your driving line, save your tires a little bit more for the last couple of laps, and claim as many positions as you can. So we're going to extend this pace lap 1 more time around here. We were doubled up, ready to get going green, but race control found something they didn't like, and we're going to have 1 more time around before we see that green flag drop.
Yep, had some cars at the back of the field still trying to catch back up to the pack, and I think we might go 2 times around here because the lights on the pace car are still on. Rob Liedl is going to get a wave around here. Maybe got stuck 1 lap down, and that might be the cause of why we are doing a couple extra laps here. He'll get that wave around and go back out on the racetrack. I didn't ask you, Logan. Who's your pick?
It's a tough one, but I'm kind of eyeballing that 45 of Aiden Neese. He's found some speed here later in these runs. Currently running in that 6th position. Got a lot of good drivers up there that are going to be beating and banging for that win. And just Milwaukee's so condensed of a track and so loose at the same time. It might be a Mickey Mouse, but a win is a win is a win.
Hey, we'll see. I think Braxton DeWeese has the long run speed. If we get another green flag run, I think that 15 car is going to fly to the front of the field. I'm also watching the first car who just pit for tires that time. We mentioned him earlier, Rye Jones. First car in points who doesn't have a win. He's sitting 4th right now. He's had a lot of top 5s, some top 10s. He's had great speed this season, but he just hasn't gotten in the win column yet. This is his chance to do it here tonight. He's first on his strategy. He's having a great race. He's got a lot of speed. I think Rye Jones is a contender to bring it home tonight as well. There are quite a few cars who could pull this off, and I would not be surprised. Ryan Phillips is back up in 7th after his accidents. Anything could happen.
Absolutely, and Just to highlight the 45 again, up 21 positions from that 27th starting position. Aiden Neese running in 6th as we get this one restarted. Pace car will come off. Sky, let's see if we can make it to the end from here.
Let's see. I think a lot of these drivers are hoping for a green flag run. It's Derek Smith, it's Braxton DeWeese on the front row, and we are off here on lap 94. DeWeese is going to get down to the bottom there. Not a great start for Chris Smith in the 28. And oh, there goes Rye Jones on the top. Caution is out. And a little bit of extra contact there. Johnny Rapp also heavily involved in that.
That was the 98 of Dan Berg coming in there with the last little love tap, but it didn't look like it was too bad. Seemed like he got on the brakes pretty good there to avoid as much damage as possible. We'll take it back here on the instant replay and find out what happened to Rye Jones. To me, it looked like he just got loose. Here he is, restarting behind Braxton Weiss. A little bit of a shove. And there's Pienta on the inside. Contact from Pienta is what sent him around.
Ooh, and then, yeah, you see the 52 car and Johnny Rapp get bent out of shape trying to avoid this at the back. Everyone's scrambling to try and get around that 91 car stopped in the middle of the racetrack. Man, that's a bad situation right there. Those are a couple cars that I was picking to maybe win this race involved.
Well, Sky, I would have to say after that, I think there's going to be some beef on the track. Keep an eye on that 91. Keep an eye on the 55. We might see some fireworks before this one's said and done.
Hey, Rye Jones has a lot of speed. Wouldn't be surprised if he can get back up there, but that was his last set of tires, and he has just probably really overheated them, really worn them in that spin, so I wonder if he is going to have the pace to get back up there. Going to be a lucky dog for the 5 of Robert Bropes till go around the field, and I think the lights on the pace car are likely to come off this time. It'll still be Derek Smith and Braxton DeWeese up front, still be Chris Smith in 3rd, but now the first car on those new tires, those drivers who pit on lap 90, is going to be Aiden Neese in the 45. He's a driver we have not talked about much this season, in part because he's 27th in points right now. He has no top 5s. He has 1 top 10. He has not had a great season by pretty much any metric, and yet here he is running in 4th, first car on his strategy, a threat to win here tonight.
That pick is looking better and better as these pace laps tick off. We'll see if that 45 can do anything starting from the outside row. We've got another retiree on the night. It's going to be the 13 of Jake Mackey, bringing it behind and visiting the garage early here. Just before lap 100, evidently picked up some damage from that last one that we didn't quite catch there on the replay. The 13's having a rough go at it this season, Sky. I don't know if you've been keeping up with him, but it has been entirely different from what we saw last season in the Xfinity Series.
Oh yeah, he was one of the faster cars all season in the Xfinity Series. He's 17th in points right now. Only 1 top 10 for Jake Mackey. He's going to look to have a much better second half of the season because the first half of the season has not gone his way at all. It'll be the same top 3 from last time. It'll be Derek Smith, Braxton DeWeese, Chris Smith, except it'll be lap 98. Great jump for the 2 Smiths on the inside. They're clear down into 1.
Derek Smith just charged right up there, immediately put a 3-car gap on both Chris Smith and Braxton DeWeese there on that restart. Now Aiden Neese looking to the inside of DeWeese here down into turn number 3. DeWeese, he's got to find this groove. He's got to get back to the bottom if he wants to make this last. He's going to swing out wide. We've got some action in the back. The 87's coming around now.
Clay Sampson, and we're wrecking to avoid him. That's a big hit for Karikoff. Big hit for Benson Weaver. Paul Hahn down there on the bottom. You got someone driving backwards up there in the middle of the racetrack. That looks to be maybe the 56 of Jacob Phillips. Yes, it is. And another caution there.
I saw Phillips really practicing that in the practice session, so I'd say he was ready to throw that one in reverse.
Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, you can see just gets loose off the corner of contact with Brandon Ayers. He gets up into Caputo. Couple good cars taking some damage there. And then it just kind of gets crazy trying to avoid him. You've got that big hit down there for Paul Hahn, for Benson Weaver. Karikoff is going to actually leave the session here with some pretty heavy damage. A lot of cars torn up pretty good in that accident.
This will be a good view here to take a look at what happened a little further ahead. So you've got the contact there. That's how Phillips got spun around and ended up thrown in reverse. And here comes Weaver, just trying to avoid it. Not sure exactly how that truck ended up so sideways so quickly. As you see the 56 start sliding up ahead of him. Weaver just locked down on the brakes. That rear end kicked out immediately.
My only thought is maybe he had a brake bias problem. Like, the brake bias on that car is very low right now. And when he went to slow it down, something about it just made the car snap. Because that's the only thing I could think of that would make the car snap like that.
There's pretty well nowhere to go for some of those drivers. We've seen it time and time again. But here we go, Sky. We're inside. 20 to go now.
Aiden Neese is going to be up to third here as Braxton DeWeese has made a move down pit road. He's going to put 4 tires on that car and try to come back out. If it goes green, maybe it'll work for him, but if we keep going with these cautions, I don't think that'll work out too well for that 15 car. All depends on how the flow of this last 20 laps is. Aiden Neese was getting pretty loose there on that last run. He actually almost went around the corner before that wreck happened, which is why I was getting kind of so amped up initially there. Aiden Neese is going to be third. He's going to be on this inside line behind Derek Smith. He's got, looks like 10 to 15 lap fresher tires than these first 2 cars. He's in position to get not just his second top 5 of the season, but maybe his first win as well. This would be a huge run for Aiden Neese if he could get it done. Green flag is back out. It's another great jump for Derek Smith on the bottom, and Aiden Neese will be second by the time we hit turn 1.
We're going to fan out 3 wide in the middle of the pack, and looks like everybody's able to manage it as we've got one close up to the wall running back there. But the top 5 gets single filed out, make it the top 7 now. Aiden Neese works his way up to second here between the Smiths. Let's see if he can get it done in that 45 and take home a win tonight.
I'd like to correct myself. Aiden Neese has had 1 top 10. He has had no top 5s this season, and now with 17 to go, he is fighting for a lead. Pretty good run tonight for James Danforth up there in 6th. Max Cost in 7th. Having a great run as well. Looking on Brandon Ayers in that 16 car, and Rye Jones is trying to drive back through the field after that accident, back up to 8th.
Keep an eye on that 15 machine. You see him working up. He started outside of the top 15. He's already up to the 11th position, making moves. Here goes Levi Cox, sending it to the inside of Braxton DeWeese. He's going to hold it 3 wide down through 1 and 2 with Brian Brobst and Jacob Phillips to the outside. And it is a hornet's nest back here.
Look at who's ahead of Levi Cox. It's Braxton DeWeese. He pit on that last caution, and he's already back in 10th. Those new tires, if we stay green, could be huge for that 15 car. We're getting pretty squirrely down the front straightaway there involving Max Cost in that 68 car. He was almost down by the inside wall trying to make some time, make a move further up the field. Man, great speed for Braxton DeWeese. Great speed for Rye Jones, Levi Cox, all these drivers who are working their way back up through the field after accidents, after pit stops. They're kind of chewing up some of these cars in the back half of the top 10. That's Rye Jones to 7th. That's DeWeese to 9th. Braxton DeWeese, fastest car on the racetrack last time around. Second fastest lap of the race for any driver last time around. And he's in the middle of traffic back here in 8th. Big loose out of the corner.
Just trying to keep it low as possible there off of turn number 2. Does a good job of collecting it back up. But, you know, right now, DeWeese has the drive of a lifetime ahead of him. But there's a lot of gaps that have started to form up here once you get to the top 6.
Call around Rob Liedl.
Oh, Liedl nearly gets into the pit barrels back there, but keeps it off. And we're going to stay green. This is what that 15 needs Let's see if Deweese and Jones can capitalize.
Yeah, we'll get a little bit of a replay there on what happened to Rob Lito. I really thought that was going to be a caution for that 80 car. Loses it out of turn 4. Let's see if there's any contact here. Nope, he clipped the apron, got loose, got down into that inside wall there. Managed to keep it going fast enough so there was no yellow, and we stay green out on the racetrack. Braxton Deweese in 7th right now. Rye Jones in 6th. I don't know if Deweese has race-winning speed. It might be too little too late, but he could absolutely steal a top 5 or a podium here. He is trying to do it.
Tell you what, if that yellow flag did come out there with Rob Liedl, that would have been perfect for Deweese and Jones. I would have stacked everybody back up, and then that tire advantage could really come into play off that restart. But here we go. They're going to battle it out here just outside of the top 5. We'll see if they've got enough to make it up to the top 3 and start challenging for those podium positions. But it's a long ways away. Danforth right behind here, holding on to that position. The 88 running in 8th with a couple cars hot on his tail. This is the 46 of Chase Berry, who we haven't mentioned a whole lot tonight. He's up here inside of the top 10 with Max Cost taking up that last position in the top 10.
Chase Berry is on that Braxton Deweese strategy of pitting on that last yellow, and that's what's really helped him send his way back up through the field right now. Aiden Neese, car around. Chris Smith is way loose down there. He's going through the grass on the bottom of the racetrack. That is devastating for that 28 car. He's been struggling on those tires, and now he will fall all the way back outside of the top 10. Your second place in points, one of your most consistent drivers all year, not going to get the finish he wants tonight after getting majorly loose. One thing I'm noticing is that Derek Smith is pulling away from Aiden Neese. He's got a tire advantage in that 45 car, but it doesn't mean anything because Evan Pienta is right on the rear of that 45 car, and he seems to be faster than Aiden Neese, even though Evan Pienta's on the same tire strategy, even though those two both have tires 10 laps older than Derek Smith.
And only 10 laps to go this time by. We'll make it 9 here. Derek Smith with a comfy 1 1/4 second lead over Aiden Neese. We got that battle right here for that second place position as Evan Pienta is trying to find a way around. Nothing doing just yet. We'll see if Aiden Neese can continue to keep that 55 behind. And, you can't be upset with a second place finish by any means here at Milwaukee. So the top 3 is still fantastic standings going into next week.
Braxton Deweese is pretty consistently 2 to 3 tenths faster than the rest of the cars up here, but it is kind of a situation of too little too late. I think he could get a run going to try and steal a spot on the podium, but I don't think he's going to be able to get up to Derek Smith to lead this race. Barring a caution right now, this is Derek Smith's race to lose with the pace he's running, although we almost got a caution there as Chase Berry uses up Ryan Phillips to enter the top 5. It's been an up and down and all around day for Ryan Phillips. The 6th place, considering what he's been through, is pretty amazing.
That it has. And right back up here to that battle for second. Pienta staying locked to the bumper of Neese. Still can't quite find the speed that he needs, but he's going to send it deep into turn 3, almost to that left rear quarter panel. He almost had the inside line. He kind of gets there, actually, but he's going to slide right back up behind out of turn number 4. Can't get it done this time.
Hey, Deweese was half a second faster than Neese and Pienta. As these cars do battle, Deweese gets into this picture, and he's going to try to steal a spot in the top 3 here. He needs a good points run here tonight. He's coming in 6th in the point standings. He definitely is going to want to be higher than that. He wants to be one of the drivers competing for the lead of this series. A good top 5 here tonight, a good podium finish here tonight, if he can get up to him, would go a long way towards doing that for him. I'm impressed by Aiden Neese tonight as he almost goes around into the corner, a little bit of a Tokyo drift down into turn 1. He's gone 27-2, and even though he doesn't have the speed he might need to win this race, he is really sticking in it. He is bringing the fight to Evan Pienta in this 55 car, who's been one of our best drivers all season.
As these drivers continue to battle, that 15 continues to get closer. He is now within a half second of Evan Pienta, and he's been roughly a half second faster the last 2 laps by. That trend continues, Deweese with a 30.6. Pienta and Nice both with a 31.1. So I think Deweese is going to get there for this top 3 position. Might even get an opportunity to work all the way up to second here.
He's certainly got the tire advantage, and he's certainly got the pace advantage right now. The question is, does he have a line to try to get around both those 2 cars? Can he get the move on the inside, which is where he would like to be, or is he going to maybe have to use up those tires, do it on the top? Right now, he's looking to the top, but he's going to dart it back down to try to get maximum speed off the corner and build up a run into turn 3 on Evan Pienta. That is exactly what he does. Braxton Deweese clear for third with 3 to go, and now he's got his sights set on Aiden Neese in second, and that car is loose. I would not be surprised if Deweese gets him.
He's already going to look to the inside here, but he's going to back it down a little bit further, try to set back up for turn 3. You see that kind of a double apex almost here for 1 and 2 coming out of the 15 machine. He'll exit lower than Nice does, and he'll be immediately to that left rear quarter panel, and Nice almost closed it off, but here comes Pienta back to the inside. A little bit of a door bang there. The 45 and the 55 are going to battle out. Nice loose on the outside. Loose again. He's going to get in the wall. But that white flag is out. It's official from here, Sky.
Yeah, the Whiplash SimCam's white flag got waved, so it doesn't matter what happens to Aiden Neese. We'll stay green to the end. And up front, Derek Smith has a 1.2 second gap back to Braxton Deweese. It's been a great run for him, and he is going to bring it home. Derek Smith rounds turn 4, and he'll win back-to-back races. Takes it at Milwaukee.
He tried to make it halfway on the laps led. Comes up just 2 laps short. 58 laps led for the 66s. He's going to get loose down in 1. Maybe starting the celebration a little bit early. Ends up putting it into the wall. And we'll have to just go ahead and start that Polish lap from there.
Hey, he's going to get to burn it down here. Takes the win of the Magnuson Grand Pioneer in and sweeps 120. Kind of tried to do a Van Gisbergen there of just drifting around the racetrack trying to make that work. We're going to do your final results right now. We got Derek Smith, leader, winner of this race. Braxton Deweese will finish P2. Evan Pienta, 3rd. Chase Berry on that tire call, 4th. Aiden Neese slips back to 5th on the last lap, and a great recovery from Levi Cox to finish P6. Ryan Phillips, Rye Jones, both cars also with great recoveries, 7th and 8th. Max Koss, 9th. James Danforth, P10.
We're up behind our top 10. We saw the 28 get loose on the bottom. He was able to collect it back up and holds on to the 11th place position to finish this one out, followed up by the 16 of Brandon Ayers. Then it's that 56 of Jacob Phillips, who we saw driving backwards down into turn 1 at one point, finishing out in 13th. Brian Brobst in the 11 after some contact with his brother Robert Brobst. He'll take home that 14th position, although Robert didn't get to finish this one out, I don't believe. That was an early exit for him, or a little bit further back. However, Laura Wiseman in the 84 will claim the 15th position on the night, followed up by the 14 of Tony Caputo in 16th. Dylan LeBeau we saw up at the front of the field quite a bit tonight. That 3 will finish out in 17th. Rob Liedl in the 80 machine claims the 18th finishing position, followed up by the 52 of Johnny Rapp in 19th. And last but not least, in the top 20, it's that 98 of Dan Berg.
Rounding out the field tonight, Robert Probst does make it to the end, but he finishes 21st. Last 2 cars on the lead lap were Steve Vest, P22, Paul Hahn, P23. Ellis Thomas and Paul Thomas both bringing home 1 lap down, and then cars who did not finish tonight. Clay Sampson in the 87 had a good run going, but a late wreck took him out. Benson Weaver, 27th. Matthew Karakoff, Jake Mackey, and Patrick O'Toole round out your top 30. And the last car on the field tonight was Nathan Gentry, who I do not believe took the green flag. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll get our top 3 finishers up here when we come back, and we'll have interviews. Stay tuned.
Hey partner, I'm Barry, your pocket crew chief, the very first AI-powered mechanic for sim racing. Got a car that's a little loose or tight? Just tell me how it's handling, and I'll whip up instant setup recommendations just for you. Want me to get even more precise? Snap a picture of your setup, and I'll fine-tune it to perfection. And hey, I'm not just about giving orders. I'll explain why every adjustment matters, so you can really understand your ride. I'll even teach you the science behind the setup. Ever wonder why the track bar is so important? I've got the answer. With Pocket Crew Chief, I'll make you smarter, faster, and race ready. So what are we waiting for? Let's build to win.
We are back here at Milwaukee in the Magnuson Grand Pioneer Inn and Suites 120. We got interviews from your top three, and we'll start with talking to your winner tonight for back-to-back weeks. It's Derek Smith in the 66. Derek, how you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Back-to-back race wins. How's it feel?
Really good. This one definitely a lot more deserved than the last one, in my opinion. With Kentucky being so dirty-aired centric, I mean, this one was purely skill, and I was kind of confused on why Braxton fell back there at the end. I thought I was going to be competing with him for the win, but nevertheless, though, we had a really good race. I was in a really good flow, and what a win that was. Holy crap.
Yeah, Braxton came down for tires there at the end. Tire wear was kind of an issue all night. How'd you manage your rubber here to keep it kind of going straight? Because we saw some cars behind you getting really loose.
I don't know, honestly. I did, for my setup, I did put the brake bias a little higher, and I think that definitely helped with not getting loose off the corner and such, and even corner entry. So I feel like maybe the tires helped there a lot with that brake bias, and I just drove it really solid, and made the right moves when the right moves came about, not really waiting around or anything. So that was the key today to this win.
All right, well, you've got 2 wins in a row now. I don't think you're going to be leading the points, but you're going to be pretty close after this week. What's your plan to claim the championship out here over the next 5 races?
Keep getting good results, even keep winning. I mean, that would be nice to get 3 in a row, but no one's won 3 in a row here in this league, I believe.
All right, well, anyone you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank my parents for watching, as always, and also want to just thank all the people who support me in my life, and and thanks to the drivers for being pretty good out there, besides those few back-to-back cautions. But yeah, thank you guys.
All right, well, congrats on back-to-back wins, Derek Smith. We're going to throw it over to Logan now, who is standing by with our second place finisher tonight, Braxton DeWeese.
We've got the driver of the 15 down here on the second step of the podium. Braxton DeWeese, congratulations on second place, first of all. Now, I really want to know what this drive was like through the rest of the field. You were one of the last drivers to come back down, get fresh tires. You had a 20-lap advantage over Braxton DeWeese, 10-lap advantage over Evan Pienta, but you had about 15 to 17 cars you had to drive through to get here.
Yep. I'm just great finish. You definitely need these finishes, trying to be as close as you can. If you can't get a win, second's always the next best thing, and I'm happy to get that, but I'll be damn. It's a little frustrating. I felt like I've had speed this entire year. Not the best week in, week out. If anything, this is probably my best week just for speed. I felt really good being able to hold on to third there after everybody had like 30-lap fresher tires there. I felt pretty good about that. It just couldn't get the cautions go my way. I needed to cycle through, and it didn't go green when I needed to, and then when I don't need it to go green, it goes green. So it's like I said in the chat, it's like the nastiest curveball you've seen just every week for me. I feel like it's just so many things. I can go back and watch these and be like, there's going to be like 3 or 4 different strategies just in the first half of the race to try to figure out, because the cautions are just so untimely sometimes, and it really, like I said, throws a curveball. But I was happy to be able to get through the field. I knew that I was going to have an advantage a little bit. I wanted them 10 laps to be more green flag racing there, to have more wear on the tires, but the heat cycles probably definitely played a little bit into that for the guys that had pitted before that. But yeah, I mean, if the race was like 2 or 3 laps longer, we probably could have had a pretty good battle for the lead, but it wasn't. So just did the best we can, and just fell a little bit short. But it is what it is. Good points day.
Yeah, fantastic points day. Second place finish, unofficially tied with 5th place in the points after tonight. So looking forward to seeing you go through the rest of the schedule. However, you mentioned just nasty curveballs, and here's one coming at you. Talladega next week, and we know the season opener didn't go well for you. That's your worst race so far this season. The rest of the season, you've had great points weeks, up there 35-plus points each night. Now, what can we expect to hopefully, see something different from what we saw at Daytona next week?
Yeah, I mean, Daytona, it was all good. We were up in the lead of the pack when it was, down to about 5 to go, but we were a lap down. So we'll try to be in the same spot, just on the lead lap this time. We're going to try to qualify the best we can and just try to control it the best we can. I feel like you either got to be at the very front or the very back and just wait for a wreck or whatever. But once it gets 3 wide and it's locked, can't really do much. So try to stay up the front, try to hit our marks with the pit stops. If we get green flag pit stops, to be honest with you, how tonight went, I don't think we will. I don't want to say that, but we'll see. Kind of hope we do, just to see the strategy behind that. But we're gonna have to find some people to work with for them pit stops, just try to go down when they go down. So for the first car, we really got to be on it to come down pit road if we're in that situation. So I don't know. I'm already thinking about scenarios of what we could do. But do you have that point sheet unofficially in front of you by chance?
I do indeed. What info do you need?
Do you know what I am to a leader by chance? I feel like that's the most important thing to me.
You're gonna
We're halfway
have
through 4 races left. I gotta work.
It looks like about 13 points separating you two, I believe.
Hell yeah. All right.
So,
Well, if that's going to be official after tonight, then that's pretty good. I mean, we came in tonight 27 back of the leader. So if we have another race like that, granted, Levi did have some problems. We just need to do the best we can to try to close that points gap, and definitely having 4 races, we have plenty of time to do that. And Talladega, like you said, with the curveball, and like I said, it's the curveball. It's going to be one. So hopefully we all can be cordial and have ourselves a good race.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on P2, Braxton DeWeese. I know you've got some people to shout out for tonight.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. First off, let's start with the paint scheme, and I'll try to go quick with this. But the 2000, number 15, Jeff Bodine, Ford F-150. Probably one of the craziest wrecks you've seen at Daytona with the Truck Series. that's the wreck. You don't have to look it up or say anything more. That's the wreck probably. It was crazy. He honestly, just the way it looked, he probably should have died. Just the way it looked, but he came away rather unscathed pretty good. So luckily he's still going around pretty good. But I said on my post and in the chat and Discord, I hope we could have a better finish than he did, and we did. So this paint scheme doesn't have the bad mojo, I guess you could say, anymore. So I'm glad to be able to get the throwback paint scheme up here and on the podium and talk to you guys. I felt like I haven't talked to you guys, or I haven't talked to you guys at all. This is the first time this year, so I'm glad to do that, but hopefully we can do it some more. But big shout out to Interstate Ford. Evan redid the logo. I think it looks pretty good compared to the Line X logo. He did pretty good incorporating both of it, so big shout out to him for the paint schemes. Gonna have a couple more paint schemes here in the future with him, but also shout out to Allen's Arts Images, 3 Dips Ice Cream Shop, Bennett's Publical, Jane's on Main, Tweets Renovations, Drillin' Captures, actually Drillin' Studios if I'm not mistaken now. They're kind of in a rebrand right now, but either way, big shout out to Boothard for Diecast as well, Short Track Report, Scrubbing Tires Media, Blaze Designs, Chance to Redesign Shop, Bullet All Coffee Company. You can use Brax5 for 10% off over there, I believe. I don't even know if anybody's used the code, but it's there, so I appreciate all them. Also, a couple new sponsors, Elevated TV. We'll have a couple of videos coming out on my social medias with Cody. He's the owner of Elevated TV, and he races in real life, so more to come with that in the future. And also, Happy Hippie Karaoke. They're going to be a pretty big supporter, and it's exactly what it is. It's karaoke, and it's a good old happy time, and a bunch of hippie people are singing, so I love it. So I appreciate all them. I appreciate you guys for the broadcast, and I'll quit rambling.
Well, you've got it down to a T there, Braxton. Congratulations on P2. We'll see you next week at Talladega.
Yep, I appreciate it. Go enjoy that Pacers game, Sky.
Go Thunder!
And that'll lead us to our final interview of the night, our third place finisher and our Pole Award sponsor, Evan Pienta, standing by with Sky Shrek.
Hey Evan, third place tonight. You went 13th to 3, and you kind of slowly worked your way up there. How'd you manage the tires to get this done?
Well, it was a bit of a challenge. Kind of in practice, felt like I wasn't the best. Didn't really get a solid line down, and then into the race, I kind of just started to commit to the inside line and just try and wrap in the bottom, not diamond, but wrap the bottom as much as possible and get as straight of an exit off. And then that first run, I felt like I gained enough momentum and got by enough cars. And then there was that little stretch of cautions. And that second long run, where it kind of cycled, I took tires, so I was kind of committed to being up there and running long while, the rest of the guys that stayed out kind of trickled off into pit road. I lost a little bit of spots there, just because I was so afraid of the shifting. I was so timid, and I felt like I waited a little bit too long to get the shifting down and actually start shifting. So when I did, I actually started gaining. I think I was 0.2 faster than everybody at least around me in the top 10 that was on the same tires as me. So when I did that, I felt like I had the right strategy, and I feel like I was gaining ground to gain those spots back. And then Dylan got loose or spun in front of me, and I tapped him, but thankfully there was no damage. And then that caution kind of recycled everything, and then hit for my second set there, and was kind of just committed to being up front and hoping that it would either be a caution fest and not get long runs, or it would go green to the end. And during that time, one of those restarts, I got into, we made contact. I think after the comments he made, he might want to look at a replay before he would have said that. But sucks that I made contact with the 91 there, but was able to stay up front and not get an EOL from that. And then was able to just kind of pick off Chris there. And then it was just a matter of if I could have gotten by the 45. I felt like one of those restarts, if I could have just gotten by him and I ran my race, I could have had something for the 66, but just couldn't get by him, and I didn't want to put the bumper to him because we were kind of content sort of on not racing super hard, kind of thinking big picture there. But and then at the end, just Braxton on those fresh tires kind of got up to us, and then I was like, all right, well, he's faster, and let him go by and try and get by the 45 at the end there to at least get a podium spot. So, again, it's kind of like what I said at Pocono and kind of how I approached the first 3 races. It's like these tracks that I don't think I'm the best at are the ones I end up doing better at. And I mean, Kentucky, I was kind of like meh and finished meh, but you just kind of improve on it throughout the race and end up with a good position, I guess.
All right, well, it's your 4th top 5 of the season. You've had some great runs this season, but coming up are 2 of the more unpredictable tracks, Talladega and Portland. You think you can keep your run up through both of those?
Talladega is going to be obviously pretty tricky. It's a wild card for a reason. I don't think I raced. I sponsored the last season. I'm sponsoring the race this season. I sponsored last season, was able to make it, so hopefully I can make it this season. But I don't know. It's like a wild card, so we'll see there. But then Portland, I haven't ran a lap there, but going back, I felt like I always used to be a pretty good road racer, but there's definitely guys in here that are a lot better than me, and so it's just a matter of if I can capitalize on other people's mistakes, not make mistakes myself, and maybe catch a couple of those guys in front to keep up this top 10 or top 5 streak throughout the whole season.
All right, anyone you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, you guys for putting the broadcast on, Johnny and everybody at Spark who puts on the league, all the partners that support the league, my teammates over at F. Scott Motorsports, James, Tony. I know they had some pretty good runs going. Tony got into some trouble, but Ryan for being Tony, being on the box for Tony, Nick for being my crew chief, kind of helping me throughout that, kind of guiding me on where to like lifting points and stuff and changing that, adjusting throughout the race. Everybody at the IUPUI gang, Evan Pienta Designs, Epic Machinery, my parents, they're up north right now, so hope they're all doing good with the dog. And last thing I got to say is go Pacers.
Go Thunder. All right. Have a good night, Evan Pienta, 3rd place finisher. All right, and that'll bring us to the end of our coverage here tonight from Milwaukee. We've mentioned it a couple times. We're going to have Talladega next week. Logan, how you feel about that one?
You know, Talladega, Daytona, what a fantastic track to just have on the schedule, no matter where it's at, really. So I'm always excited to see super speedway racing. It gives literally everybody in the field an even opportunity to come home with a win. Those races can be anybody's at any given moment. There is no way you can really predict who it might be taking home that top step on the podium. So really happy to see that one. Really excited to see how that racing is going to be. Follow up from Daytona weeks back. And then, we got to finish off this 4-race stretch with a road course. So just the next 2 weeks, top tier.
Yeah, I agree. Talladega and Portland are both going to be 2 wild cards on the schedule, and you got to do good at them if you want to win the championship in this short of a season. If you've enjoyed tonight's coverage of the Magnuson Grand Pioneer Inn and Suites 120 in the Mythic Metals Truck Series in the Spark Racing League, be sure to like and subscribe to Slingshot Racing Media to catch everything here for the rest of the season. For everybody behind the scenes at Spark and SRM, for Logan and Kobe up here in the booth with me, thanks for watching, and we'll see you at Talladega in 1 week's time. Have a good night.